Well, this was intended to be the finale. Unfortunately, I have to toss this intro out now. What's up, everybody? StevDez here. What? This isn't a Dragon Ball Day? Well, it still will be. You see, ever since missing the upload on Sunday, I've been busting my butt trying to get 2 videos out at the same time. And this is one of them. The next video will be out just before midnight today. So, keep your eyes peeled on the channel if you don't want to miss Jace Part 5. For now, though, let's finish the timeline of Kirby. I say finish because I really didn't expect the curveball that had to do with what if Kirby didn't land on Popstar. In the last one, I talked about how Meta Knight, King Dedede, and Kirby became the new Star Warriors of Popstar, and took on Queen Sectonia in Kirby Triple Deluxe, which was more literal of a title than anybody could have given it credit for. Through Meta Knight's teachings, Kirby learned self-confidence and became quite the capable Star Warrior, and reappearing was fan favorite Rick the Hamster. There he is, the most perfect Kirby character to exist! And so we continue with King Dedede and Bandana Waddle Dee playing a spot of chess, enjoying a spot of tea, and witnessing a spot of a UFO descending upon the planet. You know, usual things. You remember that curveball I said earlier? If not, here's the clip. I say finish because I really didn't expect the curveball that had to do with what if Kirby didn't land on Popstar. I hope you enjoyed me staring into your soul for that amount of seconds. I didn't count the seconds. There is no Battleship Halberd. Nope. Meta Knight has lived by himself this entire time. He hasn't gotten acquainted with King Dedede's army of Waddle Dees, he hasn't gotten acquainted with Blade Knight, and he hasn't gotten acquainted with Sword Knight. Therefore, Halberd wasn't built. Since he's been training King Dedede, they hadn't needed a ship like this. So, the Battleship Halberd is not going to make an appearance for this part because it simply doesn't exist. Which means that dumb stage with the stupid cannon in the background don't exist! Instead, Kirby and Rick, I know, calm down, is enjoying a nice picnic when, unfortunately, one of the spires that attach itself to Popstar comes down right on top of their picnic. Naturally, Kirby gets angry at this because that was his food and now it's a pancake and it's not even a good kind of pancake. And so he and Rick climb up the spire. Rick, halfway, decides to run away. He needs to tell Meta Knight about what's going on if Meta Knight doesn't understand or doesn't witness any of it. Which, it's a planet-wide thing, so I think he would. What does the writer of the situation know? Most of the time in these games, the hero's napping or reading a book, completely oblivious as to what's happening to the world until it's revealed to them. After getting told by Rick the Giant Hamster, Meta Knight would take off and spring into action because he was napping this whole time. Protagonists kind of do that in the Kirby universe. By this point, Meta Knightmare and the Kirby games would be known to have the same universe. It's just obvious. So, why not let Meta Knight be on a console that is handheld and give Kirby a console title, further cementing them. But Nintendo had a better idea. 2 console titles. You'll see where I'm going with this after I get done with this part. Close to the end of it, I think. The game pretty much plays similarly, with Meta Knight meeting Kirby in the mech armor, you know, the Robobot armor, and things just continuing from there. Going to the spires, trying to free Popstar from what's gone on, and trying to just beat the game. You know, basic stuff on the story part. The main difference will be the Meta Knight side of the story that is actually canon in the game, in which Meta Knight fights 3 different bosses. The first boss is Dark Matter, and he really didn't expect to be fighting a Star Warrior, a former Star Warrior, of this magnitude. But Meta Knight is able to hold his own and defeat him. Then comes the Queen Sectonia fight. Meta Knight is met by a single person that doesn't let a castle crumbling on him stop his momentum. He's been following Meta Knight this entire time, letting him deal with all the hard stuff, you know, get him to the end. But as soon as this Star Warrior sees Queen Sectonia, he springs into action.
You ain't squashing that bug on the King's Watch, Meta Dummy! She belongs to King DDD!
King DDD and Kirby in the mech suit catch up with Meta Knight, and King DDD takes the reins here, knocking out Sectonia as the final clone is summoned by Stardream. A cinematic would play here, showing King DDD mop the floor with Queen Sectonia and move on to the next clone. Kirby takes the reins first, fighting Galacta Knight in the Robobot armor. Sadly though, just like Stardream in the cutscene, Galacta Knight just cuts through the Robobot armor effortlessly. Then comes King DDD, and with his strength, he doesn't have a lot of speed. Galacta Knight toys with the king until Galacta Knight can cleanly kill this thing in one slash. King DDD's a bit dodgier than that though. He's able to just get out of the way, holding his hammer like this, with the blade coming up and cutting the hammer in half and slightly cutting his beak. A very close call. As Galacta Knight's about to finish off DDD, Meta Knight comes in and parries him. And so the battle begins with Meta Knight versus Galacta Knight. The epic duel is just like in the game, so I won't waste too much time on it. Let's go on to what happens with Stardream without a halberd.
Well, what now?
I do not know. We cannot give chase without a ship.
I think there are some other mechs that you could pilot, but they're not big enough to take on Stardream. The only thing we can do now is evacuate before the planet's destroyed.
No, there must be something we can do. I think we can't handle this one, Meta Knight. I got a plan. We have to call for some help.
From where, sire?
Lady, your cloney goop copy stuff. Can it copy this?
That's when King DDD reaches into his shirt and pulls out the piece of the crystal shard that was given to him on Ripple Star.
Impossible. Even though Stardream had no data on such a odd mineral. This isn't a pop star, is it?
That's cause it's from Ripple Star. Now can you clone it or what?
Let's give it a shot.
Meta Knight just stares at King DDD very oddly. Is this the same King DDD he was training? Because calling for help really isn't his style in any way, shape, or form. He's usually, if he has to deal with it, he deals with it. If it's not his problem, he doesn't have to deal with it.
Don't give me that look, Meta Knight. I'm just giving you a plan. I'm the only one coming up with one. As you say, sire. But your intentions shines through.
Sure enough, Susie is able to create enough of these fake crystals to summon a sort of beacon to planet Ripple Star. Ripple Star opens up a portal and sees our heroes talking through the portal to them. The Queen knows that their friends are in trouble and she is not going to hesitate to help them. After all, they did save their planet once upon a time and rid a certain evil from the world. The spire begins to crumble and Ribbon comes through the portal, telling them to get out of the spire. They gotta fly out. Ribbon flies out with Susie, Meta Knight flies out with King DDD, because King DDD hasn't learned how to float in this timeline, and Kirby flies out on Warp Star. The crystal emerges through the portal and starts extracting all of the machinery from Popstar, effectively curing the planet, but doing something with that machinery. The crystal takes its place as the power core of this ship that is building all around it. Basically a halberd, but on a much bigger scale and with a lot, well, I guess a lot wider, because the halberd just looks like a halberd. Oh my god, Meta Knight's clever. But also from the portal, hundreds of flying machines piloted by different fairies from the planet Ripple Star are coming out. These flying machines are very board-like, and there are many different shapes and sizes, flying all around the ship as it's being created.
Ribbon, what are those?
They're called air ride machines, Meta Knight, and they're based on Kirby's Warp Star. We decided to have a bit of a military and a bit of entertainment after you all left, just in case Zero came back. Oh, and here comes your air ride machines.
4 fairy pilots come by with 4 different ride machines for the different Star Warriors and Susie. In front of Susie, Formula Star is dropped, something that adds top speed and is very functional in a straight line. Kirby gets the Flight Warp Star so that he's got a more upgraded Warp Star to get into space and help pilot. And it's not much different from his Warp Star, so things work out. He doesn't have to struggle to fly it. In front of Meta Knight, Jet Star. I opted out of going for Shadow Star because in this timeline, Meta Knight's a bit more camaraderie. Is that a word? Camaraderie? He's a bit more social. And so when it comes down to it, he's not as dark and brooding as before. So Shadow Star wouldn't be a good fit for him. But Jet Star is, complementing his wings and flying style. Not to mention, Jet Star just looks friggin' cool. And last but not least, in front of King Dedede is Rocket Star. Something to complement King Dedede's slow attacks, but powerful attacks. With the boost that charges up and allows Dedede to really do some damage, this would definitely be a proper air ride machine and not a friggin' wheelie. The goal is that the ship will fly behind the Star Warriors, and the Star Warriors have to find some way in order to break the defenses of Stardream OS in order to get a good hold to the Access Arc. From there, the Star Warriors can take it. The job of the ship is to get them there, but the only way the ship can get them there is if the Star Warriors reveal weak points. The strategy for this battle would be that the player would begin with King Dedede, charging up the boost, and then switch to Susie. With the huge boost, Susie's Formula Star would reach top speeds much faster than normal, and thus be able to close the gap a lot quicker. You would only switch to Meta Knight and Kirby in order to do the following. Kirby would be there to inhale and exhale certain enemies, as well as get copy abilities while he's flying. But because of the power that the Flight Warp Star exudes, Kirby wouldn't be able to hold the copy abilities for very long. Not to mention, he's going at speeds he's not very comfortable with, so these copy abilities are temporary, but powerful. Meta Knight would be used to dodge things that Kirby can't, because Jet Star is far more dodgy than the Flight Warp Star. The Flight Warp Star is mainly just to get high quickly. And so, when you get to Stardream OS, you have to switch to a Star Warrior. If you have Susie out, then it'll give you a brief period to switch, but if you don't, you'll be blasted back, take a bit of damage, and have to do the whole thing all over again. Each Star Warrior has a special attack that reveals a weak point of Stardream OS. Kirby will inhale a laser, a huge laser fired by Stardream OS, and swallow it, revealing the Hyper Laser. This would naturally be a call to one of the console games that's coming in the next part, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, where there were hyper copy abilities, or super copy abilities, however you want to say it. This supercharged laser would reveal a weak point, and the ship in the back would then onslaught that weak point to help them get to the Access Arc. Next up, King Dedede. He would pump his power into his hammer, making it grow and grow and grow until he can get one hell of a swing with a boost from Rocket Star. Then, when you get to Meta Knight, he would fly high and come down with a quick slash, cutting off a part of Stardream OS. And from there, Stardream OS is susceptible. They can get to the Access Arc and take down the core. However, after the last attack hits, Susie, King Dedede, Meta Knight, and Kirby are all sucked into the Access Arc. Therefore, the final boss comes forward. After that canon boss, things return to normal, and Planet Robobot ends with 2 particular console games coming out in the near future. Kirby Air Ride would be released on the Switch, and so would Meta's Return to Dreamland. So what do you all think? Do you think King DDD actually grew up a little bit in this episode? Do you think that maybe the last few titles will offer some more growth for our heroes? After all, we do have Star Allies to still look at, and there will be other Kirby games in the future. Go ahead and leave a comment below for more what-ifs in the realm of video gaming and Dragon Ball alike, such as if Riku actually joined Sora's party in Kingdom Hearts. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!